That's positive.
Your what was?
My car door.
Oh, I've had that before.
Oh.
So in Oregon, it gets really rainy, and so the ice will like get almost in the lock. You like pour hot water on it to get your key to be able to open it. Anyway, exciting. It's supposed to get warmer by the end of this week, though. So this is just a hopefully freak thing. Okay. Welcome to term 2. You guys made it. So term 1. I'm not going to give you a syllabus this term because things are kind of still like up in the air, and that just seemed to be kind of a mess anyway. Like I changed so many things that it's not very helpful to give it to you if it's not even true. So we'll just kind of keep going, and I'll give you enough advance notice to get all your assignments done, but not the full semester because it's probably wrong anyway. So this week there won't be a video tomorrow, which again I'm sure you're very bummed about. I'll put a video for people who are like only doing home study on like the weekly overview, but it's the same thing both days, so you don't need to watch it. Unless you're feeling lonely and you miss me, then go for it, but it's fine. So today we are going to talk about your rough drafts. You should have those done, or at least something done. So we'll go over some stuff with that. You'll do some peer review, and then I will pull you aside and we'll just look at your draft together to see how it's going. Give you some feedback. For next week, so you're going to turn in your final draft of the choice speech by next class, so November 2nd. And then make sure that you turn in the peer review names, just like last time. Pick 3 people. I'll show you the peer review sheet. It's like a checklist. So have them go through it, put comments on your draft, and then fix what they suggest. If it's good, I mean, I guess if it's, you're like, I really disagree, like I know, like fine, but like pick reviewers who you're not going to disagree with because they're so smart. And then, so you'll submit those 3 names with those points. And then we're going to start talking about satire next week, which I'm very excited about. We're not going to do that second analysis essay, the final thing. We'll just do better third term with that and getting, so do really well on this choice annotations or choice speech annotations, because this is the kind of stuff that's going to help you on that analysis essay. And because we're at a phase 1, it's very difficult for us to get into everything that we would have before. So you're just going to need to really like look at the feedback and remember like to do well on this, because you're not going to get a second chance to do it timed right this term, which again I'm sure you're very bummed about. So next week with satire, there is a piece called A Modest Proposal, and it's satirical. We'll talk more about what satire actually means and stuff next week. So you're going to read it, annotate it. The instructions for annotations are at the top of the document. And then there are 6 questions afterwards that you need to answer so we can discuss together. So you'll do that. And then the next day, so this is for Monday, Tuesday, we're going to be talking about HubFin. So you guys have those books, and if you don't, if you didn't check them out for some reason, just check them out before you leave today. But you'll have to have read 1 through 7 by Tuesday. So if you don't want to do that all in one night, just put that on your radar this weekend so you can get it done, okay? Questions? Excellent. Okay, so I want you to pull up your choice annotation speech draft, whatever you've got done with that. You should have a full rough draft, but if you just have part of it, pull that up on your Chromebook now, even if it's just your outline. So do you have your computer today?
Yeah, it's charging.
Oh, why don't you just come and sit over here next to a plug, or back there with a plug? Maybe back there is better turned off. My camera. Yeah, that way you can still participate. Okay, so today we're going to talk about verbs. Okay, because verbs are very important in writing. That's where all the action happens, right? They're action words. So, what I want you to do right now, you're going to go through your draft and you're going to mark all your verbs. Okay? So, verbs, again, action words. They can be verbs, things that are like is, are, were, like those weird verbs, right? That are like not as exciting as like run, right? But go through, and they give you about 10 minutes. Go through and just mark, like highlight all your verbs, whatever color you're feeling today. No, I should take roll because I'm a teacher and I do that sometimes. Looking up your rough draft and highlighting all your verbs. You can just sit behind. You're highlighting all your verbs in the rough draft. Okay, do you have a charger? Okay, I think you can sit on that other side of Sophia. You can probably use the outlet too. So. Sorry.
Oh, you're good, you're good.
Yeah, probably charger right there.
Oh my gosh, guys, are your cell phones charged?
Yeah.
How does that happen? They're charging it at night, right? Okay, what kind of charger do you need? What kind do you need?
Just a Chromebook one.
Well, there's two different kinds. Is it roundy or is it flat?
Round one.
Okay. Okay, you might have to go sit, I don't know, somewhere next to that, or back here.
I think I can reach that.
I think he's gonna use it too.
Okay.
So you might have to sit behind Ally.
Okay.
Don't breathe on her. How many more minutes do you need to be highlighting your verbs? Show me with your fingers. How many more minutes do you need? What? I don't know, but just show me how many it's been, like how many you need. Ish. Okay, I'll give you about 5 more. I swear that these masks make you all like Ariel when she can't talk. Hello? Okay, like 1 more minute. It's okay if you don't get through all. Okay, so let's talk about your verbs. Did you notice any patterns? Did you notice any verbs you favored more than others? Tell me about it. And remember, you are not, in fact, Ariel, so you can talk. Your voice has not been stolen by a sea witch. Hannah, what did you notice about your verbs?
Actually, I haven't done
Okay, yeah. Yes.
Mine kind of focus more on movement because I talk a lot about like shifts of power, and also I talk a lot about the Cold War, and I don't know, there's just a lot of shifting of power and of, I don't know, alliances, I guess, or things like that, so.
Okay.
A lot of those sort of.
I like that, yeah, that's good, and it should match what you're saying,
Yeah.
right? So I like that. Anyone else? Yeah,
I use the word insult a lot.
insult, okay, yeah, sometimes I notice like I
It's
think
happening in my speech.
you have lots of insults.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
I found, looking through it, and seeing that I tend to use longer verbs when describing what the author is doing than when describing other things.
okay, which is probably good, right? Like that's what you're trying to get to, is the author's purpose, so your verb should, it's
Yeah.
very strong there. I don't know about you, but like when I'm not paying attention to my verbs, I tend to use what are called passive verbs, which is like the is, are, were, and all of that. And like, those are not great because those don't give us a lot of information, right? They're like state of being, or what are called like passive verbs. But you have to like link them to some other idea in order to really understand like where they're going with that verb. So these are some verbs I want you to watch out for in your writing. I won't make you take notes unless that would be helpful to you, or you can look at the PowerPoint later. But these are called passive, and they have to be linked to other verbs or adjectives to give them meaning. So we need to use powerful verbs that can stand on their own. And it sounds like a lot of you are already using good, powerful verbs. But these are called state of being verbs. These are like verbs that you sometimes can't even tell are verbs because they're like not like other verbs, right? They're not like run, go, like the ones that like are actiony. They're just state of being. So things like is, am, are, was, were, be, being, like all of these verbs, these are not powerful verbs. These are passive verbs. So we want to replace them with verbs that will help us give more meaning to our text and be more specific about what we're talking about. So some examples. The first one says the man was walking on the platform. So you've got was in there and walking. You're using two words when one would do, right? So instead of just saying like a state of being, be more specific about how they were walking. So the man strode along the platform. The man rushed along the platform. The man strolled. Maybe he's not in a hurry, right? But you can be more specific with your verbs rather than using two, right? Yeah.
Is there a way to make the sentence more powerful without changing the tense like that? Or no?
Not really, because verbs are probably like the most powerful. And when you get to college, lots of professors like to take out points for these passive verbs because it's kind of lazy writing because you're putting more words on it instead. Every word that you use in your writing should be doing something for you. And like was walking, that's like a perfect tense, right? But well, it's called a past tense verb, like past perfect tense. Not that it's perfect. Different. You don't care. Anyway, but you want to use verbs that like actually say what you're meaning. Like verbs are like good writers use good verbs. And like often when you've got word count, like parameters, you want to like find stuff that is less words so that you can say more, right? And then also when you're writing your exams, right, and you're handwriting them, taking time to write two words takes longer. So be more specific with your words because it's clear. Another example, Jim is a lover of country living. Okay, that's a lot of words, but you could just say Jim treasures country living, right? You've taken out like 4 words there and replaced it with one. That's excellent. Or there are 3 things that make me feel the way I do. There are 3 things that convince me, okay? So again, taking all this wordiness and putting it into one, that's going to make your writing more powerful and more succinct. And leave less room for your reader to get bored and confused. Does that make sense? Since you're not speaking, just give me a minute. Okay, great. Okay, other verbs to avoid. Verbs that rely on adverbs. I can't remember which writers did this, but they were like adverbs are the worst. They're like the laziest form of writing, okay? Because instead of using a powerful verb, you just like add that on. Like, oh yeah, look, this is what I meant, right? So I know like a lot of writers are like, I hate adverbs, I never use them, which is probably like an exaggeration, but they're not as powerful. So there are often more precise verbs that you can use instead of relying on the adverbs to clarify the verb's meaning. So here, again, more examples. You could have said the fox ran quickly through the forest, but they've crossed out ran quickly and replaced it with dash, right? Because again, you're using anything with an ly, it's an adverb, and that's just not very specific, right? She menacingly looked at her rival, or she glared, right? So again, you're down into one word. He secretly listened while they discussed their plans. He eavesdropped while they discussed their plans. That make sense? Yeah? Okay, great. Liking this bobblehead motion. Okay, and then the last one, ing verbs are fine if you're using them at like the beginning, but when you use them and they follow a helping verb, like that is, am, were, was, could, should, would, you can often find a better verb for that too. So this is called passive voice. Basically just takes more words to say the same thing that you could say without the helping verb. So before, they were walking, or just, they walked, right? She was loving the idea of, she loved the idea of, right? So you just take out that helping verb and change the tense. If you like started a sentence with like loving the idea of blah, 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 she did this, like that can be cool, right? But you just don't want it to be following one of these helping verbs because that's just wordier than you need it to be. And it's more powerful and succinct if you can say it with one, and with one cool, powerful verb. Any other questions about stuff? Okay, so on this PowerPoint, also in the weekly overview, there's this list of all of these fun, powerful, non-boring verbs that you could use to put in your paper. So if you've noticed, you use a lot of was, am, is, or like, figure out what you're actually trying to say and then replace it with one of these. So they've given like a little bit of information at the top. I don't know that you have to use it for these categories, but if that helps you, I left it up there. But instead of saying like, I feel like I always use shows, like that's like my go-to boring verb. So instead of saying shows, I could be like, ooh, portrays, suggests, sustain. So you can use some of these, have some fun with it, right? If you used insults a lot, maybe look for another synonym that means the same thing, right? Yeah? Because even if you take a good verb, but you overuse it, right, then it loses some of that power. You can also just go to thesaurus.com. If you've got a verb and you just want like a synonym for it, that's what I do in my writing all the time. I like plug in the word, I'm like, I want a different one, and then it's like, ooh, I like that one, right? Now, not all of them are equal. You have to make sure you actually know the meaning of the new one, that it fits the context, right? But when I'm writing, I like always have the thesaurus.com pulled up. So that's exciting. So you're going to go through your drafts before you turn them in. You're going to put in really good verbs. I'm going to be so intrigued and engrossed in your writing and not be bored while your passive verbs write. Excellent. Guys, your energy is just catching. I'm just pumped this week. You're killing me. Okay. So the other thing you're going to do during this class is you are going to find people to help you with your peer review. If you're not done with your draft, like if you have a good chunk of it, you can still do peer review today. If you don't have anything, get something done. You're killing yourselves, right? It's like let's start out good this term because I was buried under like 1,000 assignments. So thanks for that. Anyway, that was fun. But yeah, get 3 people to look at it. There is on the speech peer review names, if you click on that. It's got a checklist for you. That is exciting. It will say make a copy. You shall do so. And then, there you go. So it's got like a little checklist. I wonder if you could even, no, you can't really check. That would have been cool. We're not that cool. Anyway. But just go through, so it's got things like using the context in the introduction. So instead of saying, in the speech, blah, 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 that's not like all that intriguing. Nobody wants to start reading something that's like, in the speech, blah, blah, blah. Instead, Mrs. Van Orden calls it back the backdoor approach. We want to use the front door approach, meaning we don't begin in the speech, blank, it says blank. Instead, engage us with the context. So you said you were talking about like the Cold War.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff going on in the Cold War, so you'd be like, in a world where people are split between communists and blah, 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 what you must do in this speech is unite the world under democracy. Like, that's exciting, right? It's not in the speech, right? You know, you're talking about Martin Luther King, you'd be like, it's a sweltering hot day. People have gathered from all corners of the earth to create equal, I don't know, but like you can get really a lot more exciting than like in Martin Luther King's speech. I have a drink, whatever, okay? So be exciting. Clear and engaging thesis, so make sure that it's centered when you're looking through on the speech's purpose. So they say something about purpose in their thesis, and then what rhetorical choices that the author used to accomplish that purpose. You want to make sure you have like local organization where your paragraphs are all focused on a single subclaim, right, or like a chunk. And then at the end, everything is tied back to the purpose of the speech. So you've got both local organization, but also the local meaning like within a paragraph, and then global organization, meaning like the whole essay is organized to prove that purpose. Insightful, thoughtful, thought-provoking analysis. Quote and paraphrasing, supporting assertion, they're integrated or introduced effectively. So you're not just like dropping quotes like anvils. It's not good. And then of course, engaging and effective writing using powerful verbs will help you with that. And then, so that's like, what are you doing well? And then things that you can improve. Basically, this is just the opposite of all this stuff. So, when you're reviewing someone, obviously you don't have to be mean about it, but don't lie to them and say that it's engaging if you're not engaged, right? Don't say that they are doing a really good job with their organization if they're not, right? Because then you're not helping them at all. And this isn't about being like, you suck, please leave, right? We're helping each other, right? We're helping them to know what they should fix, to improve. Yeah, okay, great. And then any suggestions for revision. So you can either like, just like share this document with someone and have them bring it back, but you do need to like send them your draft, so they should be making comments right on your draft too. Yeah? Okay, questions about what you need to do. And for my tardy boys, just so you know, this is due, I guess it's like right before class, so, oh wait, yeah, so this is due before next class, so
Sure.
you can turn it on a second, that's fine. We're gonna do a modest proposal, annotations and questions. You need to have this done when you come to class so that we can talk about it. That's on Canvas. And then we're gonna start Huck Finn on Tuesday, so I won't see you, but they'll have me too, and you need to read the first 7 chapters so we can talk about it on that day, okay? Any questions? Oh, also, and you guys are not as annoying as my freshmen about this, but like, we have till Monday to get your grades finished, so if there's something that you've turned in that I haven't graded yet, I'm probably working on it, but my freshmen are like, I turned this in, didn't you notice? I'm like, oh my gosh. I have to like play nice. We were all there once, it's fine, but just like, if you would stop sending me emails, maybe I could get to grading it. Thanks. Good. Okay, great, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. So that's what you're doing. So work on your rough draft if you haven't finished it. Find someone to peer review. You need to have 3 by next time so you can submit those things. Yes?
If I didn't come in to turn in like my.
Oh yes, I saw those on my thing. And
Yeah, if I can just see that, so I can like, cause I haven't started my rough draft yet.
Oh
If I
yeah.
could just look at that, that would be.
For sure. Yes. Okay, cool. And I'll pull you guys aside to help you.
It was a lot, it was a bit.
Was it?
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'll just mark it off. I'll put a little sticky note on here that says that you did it. You just, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sophia.